first masterclass of DUNADOCK. DUNADOCK is a series that we are doing for 8 years now. We counted, and it is our 11th masterclass and workshop. And DUNADOCK is DUNADOCK is a series that we are doing for 8 years now. We counted. Sorry, I had an echo. I'm continuing, and DUNADOCK is supported by HBO Europe from the very beginning, and this year's edition was organized in collaboration with the Fast Forward program of the National Film Institute also. I'm very happy to welcome Hanka Kastelicová, Judit Oláh, and Sára László. They are with us, and we are having the masterclass about Return to Epipo. Judit is the director of the film. Sára and Hanka are producers. Sára is representing Campfilm, the production company, and Hanka is representing HBO Europe. So we are very excited to have this discussion with you about this beautiful film. I believe that it was not an easy thing to do, this film, you did. So my first question is that how you had the idea of make this film, how you had the strength and the courage to start to work with this project.
Yes, hello everybody. So the first idea came to me after there was an article that was published in 2014 about Sipos, the teacher and the camp leader, and about his abuse stories. And soon after my first shock, a few months later, I already had the idea that we should somehow deal with this within a documentary, but I was not yet sure at all in what way we should do that.
Okay, and then what was your first step to start?
Actually, one of my first steps was to speak with Sára, and we started talking about the topic. We started having ideas how we could develop this story, or how we could, on which direction we could go. Yeah, we've been discussing this for long months, as I remember, starting to write the first ideas, the first synopsis, what could be the main topic of this film, which was absolutely not clear in the first moments.
Okay, but when you started to work on this, you already had the idea to have the psychological roundtable, or did it come later for the film, or it was already something you planned to do, or how it happened?
No, the psychological group was actually a quite later idea. First, I started to make interviews, not only for the film itself, but for ourselves to know better the whole topic. Like in the film, in the actual film, there are not many interviews used of these interviews that we first made. And the psychological group was, I think it was actually Hanka's first idea was to make a theater play with the ex-campers, somehow either dealing with the topic or somehow remaking one of the old theater plays that we done in the camp back then. But then when I started to speak with the people from the camp, I started to feel that there is a need for a kind of trauma, working with our trauma. So after a while, I had the idea that it should be some kind of a psychological something, but it was not yet sure how and with whom we could do this.
Okay, so then I turn to Sára, because you started to work together first. What was your the main thing? What made you say yes to this project? So what was the main idea? You said that yes, this has to be a documentary, and then what was your first step to develop this project?
There were several things that I think this is one of the projects where I hesitated the least, or I needed the least of thinking if it's something I would like to get engaged in or not. It's also that the article that Judit mentioned, it also had a huge effect on me, and I was very intrigued in going deeper into that story. I also had personal motivations that this camp, I had friends in my childhood who took part in this camp, and as is described in the film very well, there was this insiders and outsiders, and I was always an outsider who never got to go to the camp, but I had this kindergarten friend who came back after each summer and telling me like really magical stories about fairies, and all that seemed real at the time, and it was so this camp itself, to somehow get closer to it and understand it better, it was also a trigger for me, or a motivation, and a professional other motivation was for me also that it was clear from the beginning that it was not clear to what extent, but it was clear that there was archive material existing about this camp, and for although I always had a love for films with documentaries with archive, I never actually worked on one, and the discussions we had with Judit from the beginning, it was somehow very reassuring that we don't know what it was. The material was huge. I mean, there were so many aspects from where you could approach this topic, but our discussions were very reassuring that somehow we are speaking the same language about what we would like to do with this. So it was a quite easy decision, I would say, and the very first step, or among the very first steps, I think, was to call Hanka and send her the material, and Anna, and I remember I was trying to reconstruct the timeline, but I think very soon, like maybe 6 months after our first discussions, we already presented something to Hanka and Anna and started to discuss together. So that was the first step. I think maybe one workshop we did before, this Eurodoc workshop. And yeah.
Okay, so then I turn to Hanka. What was your first feeling about the project, and what was the first impression? What made you thinking, okay, this is a film I want to be part of?
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes I'm hesitant, and just like Shari, in this case, I wasn't hesitant because I felt this is a burning issue. Immediately after the pitch, I felt emotion from the team, and that meant for me that the film has potential. And I remember that we immediately were brainstorming because, it's good that you have archive materials, but still the story appears in the past. So we were immediately discussing how basically to get these emotions on screen that are still alive, and the memories, how make them alive, how put them on one level higher. And I'm extremely happy with the result that Judith slowly came to this form that is, from point for me, it's very clean, it's beautiful, and it's strong, and it's working, and it has this connection with the childhood, and you have this white space where my imagination, when I watch the film, it's working. So even when I don't see the archive, I still see the pictures, and I see how this trauma stands with these people for so many years. So I think this is a very strong message. And also then it's absolutely clear the film in Hungary had an immense success, and I'm very happy for the team, although they released in such a difficult year for filmmakers. Nevertheless, I think that the success is there, and I'm very happy for that.
Okay, we already have a question from the audience. Did HBO have a say in the storytelling, the dramatic arc? So I think that maybe you could tell to the viewers, Hanka, how you work with the films.
Well, of course, we always listen carefully to the filmmakers, and we give them a lot of space. But I think that whoever worked with us knows that we watch materials often, and we give remarks, and we use this ability of watching things carefully from distance. So I think, I don't know, maybe Judith knows better if we have impact on storytelling. I hope we do.
So please, Judith.
Yeah, well, I think it's a very good question, because it's really depending also on the team, you know, whether you are, you know, your ideas are so clear that you don't want anyone to be involved, or, you know, telling you what to do or which direction to go. In my case, it was not like that. Also, probably because I'm a first-time filmmaker, so I was not sure of many things. So, you know, it was, I needed all these securers around me, and which was actually very, you know, heartwarming that everybody was quite happy with, you know, and felt safe with me, even though that I did not have like such an experience. So I was really, you know, I wished for everybody to be involved, and I think after a while, so like in the second third of the work, Hanka and Anna became like really like a part of our team with Sára and Peter and the others, which I think it worked quite well, that we could, you know, we could use everybody's idea, and, you know, at the end of the day, making it clear what's actually what I would like to say, or the way I would like to express.
Okay, I just
would like... Judith, can I add something? It was your first film, but my experience is that those directors of the films that are most successful work just like you. They want to hear, they want feedback, they want all the time to check what they edit or what they create. And the more successful is the film at the end, I think more we have debates and discussions about how to put the story, about the edit. So I think that it's not, I feel this is the way how we try to work at HBO, and I feel it's beneficial, it's working, and I'm always happy when I have such a team like here that is open. And okay, we would never force somebody to something, but that they don't want, of course, but we try to challenge the decisions. And when I was working as director, this was something that I was missing, because my producers always told me, oh, you know the best, you know the best, you know what you are doing, but you are alone there. And me as a producer, I want that the filmmakers that I work with wouldn't feel alone. I think this is for me like very important.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that we are talking about Anna Záborsky, who is in HBO Hungary, because we are just saying Anna, but it's Anna Záborsky. And Peter, we are talking about Peter Sas, the editor of the film. Yes, this experience to have a team, it's also reassuring, and it's very important for a filmmaker. So, okay, Sára, please tell us the development steps you went through with the film, producing from the producer's point of view, and also please mention the workshops or workshops what you where you presented the project, and in which way it helped the film to develop. And of course, Judit, if you have anything to add, feel free.
Okay, yeah, for the workshops I will pass over the the microphone, so you complete it from your point of view. But I'm just looking at notes because it's been really so long. So this first workshop we did, it was in 2016, Eurodoc, and it was not the 3-session big Eurodoc workshop. The project took part in the regional workshop, so it was 1 week. From there, from the production side, the biggest benefit was the meeting with Mathieu Belghiti, who was leading the French-speaking group in Eurodoc, and he was not the group leader. It was Martička Bozilova, the group leader of our project, but he, as part of Eurodoc, he heard about this project, or I think you pitched it, Judit, in the elevator or something like that. Classical elevator pitch. And he also had this instant reaction of, I'm interested in this. And very soon after, we signed a co-development agreement. And for a long time, finally, he didn't co-produce the film because there were many leads, but in the end, there was no French production financing for the film, only development financing. But for quite a long time, he as well intensively took part. And his role was also very important because he actually put in the first development money into the film, which made it possible to do the interviews that you did mention. So a lot of research work that we actually got the idea into a project writing. It was he really had a big part in that. Then, as I mentioned, we also 2016 we met with Hanka and Anna, and the development work together with HBO started. Then we had we applied to the now called National Film Institute for production support, which was rejected. But soon after, we applied to the Film Institute's incubator program, which is a special program within the framework of the Film Institute for first films. And the project was selected among, I think, 10 projects are pre-selected for development. Then you take part in this development progress with workshops. We had a pitching workshop and also many script consultations throughout, I think, 6 months. And the program ends with a public pitch where 5 projects are selected for funding. And it was a very successful pitch. The project was selected for funding. Soon after, the Film Institute changed the regulation of the incubator program, meaning that it did not allow to make films within this program in co-production above a certain percentage of additional financing or partners included. So even though we had this big experience of winning at the pitch and being selected, we had to choose because so they said that if HBO is on board, then we cannot continue with incubator program. And as described previously, by the time we had a real good working relation with HBO and it was again not a hesitation situation because we were extremely disappointed, as you can imagine, and also didn't really understand the situation. But then we said that we will step out from the program. I think the biggest benefit of even with this outcome was finding Eva Zabezinski, who became the very important co-author of the film. She continued also to work with Judit afterwards, and she had also a big role in writing the narration and also finding the form of the narration, but also otherwise she had an important presence in the film. So now I'm maybe jumping backwards, forwards, but in the meantime, somehow at this period, we also applied to the media program, the Creative Europe Media Program for Development, and that was a successful application. So we received some development funding. We got some funding from France, from ProCirep, and in 2018 we signed the co-production agreement with HBO. And what I didn't mention, there were 2 additional workshops, and one was Archidoc that you did together actually with you, and the second one was in the post-production stage. It's a doc incubator. But maybe Judit, you can tell more about the impact of Archidoc and also doc incubator on the film.
Yeah. So Archidoc was, I don't know the dates, when I think 2017 maybe, when we were doing Archidoc. So we were quite still at the beginning of development. So actually that workshop is aimed for documentaries that work with archive materials. But I think the main impact for us was not regarding the archive material, but the whole film itself. So they helped us writing the synopsis, the treatment. The first pitch at Vision du Réel was made within the Archidoc workshop. So I think, yeah, the most important impact during that workshop was that I think to have, you know, a clearer idea of what this film could be about. Yeah, and the doc incubator was at the end of the whole process, so we had to apply with our first rough cut there. Then we actually realized during the first workshop, when everybody showed their rough cut, that I think we were the only one who really went with the rough cut. Like, you know, we just put together scenes without any real idea of the film. while the other films were quite near to their end cuts, and they, during this 6 months of Doc Incubator, they worked more on that edit, while us, we had to, you know, start mainly from scratch the edit. And there at Doc Incubator, we had a tutor, Joël Alexis, from Israel. And I think that was like the best thing that could happen to us, because she was like really, really helping us with the editing process. To, I think by that time we were so much lost in our material, while Joël could really see it from the outside. Especially as a foreigner, and she could really help us, you know, having the idea of from where to where this film could go when we had so much material, so much interviews. We had lots of hours of this psychodrama group, lots of archive material. So yeah, I think the Doc Incubator really helped in that.
Can I ask you who was your tutor there?
At Doc Incubator. So at the editing tutor was Joël Alexis.
Okay, but all the tutors. So you had also producer tutors, and just for the audience who maybe don't know what Doc Incubator is. Doc Incubator is a workshop for projects in let's say editing stage, and it's a complex workshop. They appoint one award-winning editor for all the projects, and but producer, editor, and director are all invited to participate, and special sessions are appointed for producers with experienced award-winning producers, and also for the director there are separate different meetings. So who helped you in the whole workshop to develop the whole structure, and also the production, the marketing that you had to do during the workshop?
Yeah, I don't remember, Sarah, because I was so much into, and actually this is also what I wanted to tell about Doc Incubator, which I think is a great idea, that they deal with the marketing material and the marketing from the beginning of this workshop. But for me, as the director, I was so much lost in the film that I could not connect to these meetings of marketing, because, you know, at that stage I couldn't even imagine that we will finish this film ever, and not, you know, thinking about the marketing strategy. So I mean, yeah, the marketing, I know that we had Matthias, Alpha Panda, yeah.
Joanna Solicka. I'm bad with family.
Joanna Solicka,
yes.
Polish. Mm.
And I think they were great. I mean, they are really, really extremely good in what they are doing, and really also very supportive. But I could just not deal with it.
Well, I could add for Doc Incubator that every year that they take just like 5 films, and usually all these films premiere in big festivals. We usually have some films there, and I think it's very useful workshop. And at HBO, we also often are explaining to our teams that it's important to think to marketing and doing marketing materials already during the shooting and so on and so forward. So I basically am very happy that it's not only us telling this, because you have to finish the film, but you have also to sell the film. And this is a common mistake that we do in the focus to the shooting, to the editing. We leave the posters and the materials for later. And sometimes if we would think earlier, it could be helpful. So I think it's great what Doc Incubator is doing. It's basically run from the Czech Republic, but they have tutors from all corners of Europe and the world. And it's what is also important, that they have very strong relationship with festival selectors. So this is also, I think, some help. I don't know, Judith, how was your experience regarding this? But I think it is helpful, because whichever film is selected for Doc Incubator, it already means that the festival selectors have some certain alert, because they already went through a selection.
Yes, so yeah, it was a question to Judith, but to that what was your feeling about this? But the film was premiered at CPH Docs, which is a very important, one of the biggest European documentary film festivals. It was also in Sarajevo Film Festival, Astra Film Festival. Now it is in Versio, but maybe you can also mention others. So
Dogs Against Gravity in Poland.
Dogs Against Gravity in Poland, and the representative, the international representative of the film is Sindicado, right? Yes. So and did you meet Alexander during Doc Incubator?
I think yes. It's hard to say, because I knew Alexander from previous projects and previous festivals, markets. As far as I can remember, he was not there at the Doc Incubator second session. Is the session where, as Hanka was describing, you have very special access to festival programmers and also sales agents. It's more or less the goal of the session to have in a very nice Czech town, Tej, have quality time, so not like 10 minutes one-on-one meeting, but I don't remember, but half an hour, 40-minute sessions to really discuss the projects. And they also, at the end of the session, they watch the cut where we are at the moment in a screening room. So so it is also quite a privileged situation for these selected projects. And there we had meetings with several sales agents besides the festival programmers. But Judith, he wasn't there, no, Alexander? No,
he wasn't.
But he was following you very closely. I remember he was even calling me, please, I want this film. So he was really, he knew the film and he wanted the film.
Yeah.
He was following.
Actually, that was our, because it's hard to decide when you don't have a long-term relationship yet with a certain sales agent with who you know that it will work well. It's hard to decide, because there were several offers we got for the film, and they all seemed great. Or I don't know, it was hard to. We were hesitating a lot, and finally we said that more or less we based ourselves on this long-term motivation of Alexander, that he was really coming back all the time, what's going on with the project. He seemed very motivated, so that's how we decided.
Okay, I think we will come back to production questions, but we have questions from the audience. So to Judit, why was the interview with the writer of the original article cut out? It's an anonymous participant or from someone from the audience, but this person felt that it was a very interesting interview.
Yeah. Well, we also thought it was very interesting, so it was in the film for a while, in the rougher cut at least. But since we felt that it should be more personal than it was before, we went actually to Dock Incubator. It was a lot less personal. The narration, the voiceover was not included, and I was personally not as much included in the film yet as in the final film. But since it became such a personal film, dramaturgically, it just did not fit in, because anyhow we tried it in, it just didn't feel actually right there, because it's actually the background story of how the article was made, but not so much related to the actual topic of the film. So sadly, but we decided to cut it out, and soon had the idea that we could use it as an extra.
Okay, and another question, was Sipos's wife ever approached from your side, and are they still together?
No, they have divorced before the article came out years earlier, so it's not related to that story. And yes, I approached to her also to, for her to be aware of the film, that we are making this film, so I didn't want her to hear it from anybody else. And also I was much interested in her story, so we've been meeting for quite some years, quite often, and she was very open at the beginning to our discussions. She never seemed to be open to be included in the film, but she always said that she would think about it. And after a while, she became a little more close to me, and I think to the whole idea of the film coming out. So yes.
Okay, thank you. Just to the audience, I'm saying that you are free to ask questions in the type your question part, and as soon as I can, I will read them to the participants. Okay, so back to a little bit Dock Incubator. Do you remember the DNA of your film? Do you remember the 5 words you selected for the film? What was the core words of your film?
Do you, sir? I don't remember. I mean, I think abuse was there.
I don't.
Okay, abuse is one of them.
Yeah, I think that.
Actually, I was cleaning the mess in the office, and I just found the big papers we had throughout with Joanna when we were brainstorming and writing words on the big paper. So if you're interested, I will give it to you.
No, but just also again to the audience, that it helps a lot during editing also, and of course when you are making a film, to find the 5 words that are the most describing words of the film, and then how you can explain these core words through the storytelling, how you put together the whole film. Okay, next question. Again, you did the first scene with your daughter. Did you film it just how to say? So it was already like a kind of scripted shooting that you were thinking how to start this whole story. Was it decided together with Sára and Hanka? How you found this opening for the whole subject? Because the opening for a film, it's always a very tricky and very difficult thing, how you can pull the attention of the viewers into the subject with something personal. So how you ended up to start the film like this?
So it was not scripted. When my daughter decided to go to a summer camp, I think I just told Sára that we could shoot this happening in our lives, but still at that point, the film was not really about me and it was not really personal. So it was just an instinct that we should have it, and then we'll see if we can use it or not. So it actually happened this way. I mean, because I also read in some critiques that it seems as it's just a setup and that she's forced saying those words, which really hurt her because she feels, and I can feel that when she's saying that you cannot change your mind in the last minute, that I can see on her face the real fear that I will not let her going to this summer camp. So we just filmed it because we thought it might be useful. But in our first rough cut that we entered to Doc Incubator a bit, it was not included. And when we started working with Joel, we were talking about this, how we could make this film more personal, as we had the feedback of mainly everyone that has seen the film, the rough cut there, that they need a guidance throughout the story. And then we showed her this scene that yes, there is actually something with my daughter going to her first summer camp, and she loved it. So actually it was Joel who said that it could be used as an opening scene.
And psychologically it's very correct, because if we look also at other similar cases, usually the people start to going through the trauma again when they watch their own children, because through the children, they mirror their childhood. So I was very happy with the beginning, because I think it's very correct beginning. Gives the motivation of Judith. Why should she open this case? And if you have a strong motivation of the storyteller, then the whole film is then stronger. It's more stable, more grounded.
You just mentioned that when you shot this scene, it was not really personal, or it was not decided that it will be so personal. I turn to the producers now, because this is a really how to say deep work. How we end up with a film with the director in the focus of the film. So what discussions you had with Judith, and how you could take the decision together that this film has to be in some way about her?
It's hard to remember, because it's now it seems so natural that this is the form of the film. And although as Judit says, for a very long time we worked with this film, thinking that, I remember that even at the time of the psycho group, it was a question whether Judit should be in the group or not. And it was the psychiatrist who was leading the group who said that, no, it's no question, you absolutely have to be in the group. But so I'm just saying this, to what extent it was totally clear that that she will be, that it will be not a personal film. And I also remember that for a long time I was quite against it, or I'm looking at Judit because it was also in our discussions, I think, touching one of the most important issues we had during development, is the balance how to put these very different kind of traumas beside each other or in the same film. And it was a real question, and we really had a lot of conversations around it. And I think that in the end it was Mishka, one of the sexual victims speaking in the film, who kind of solved this dilemma by saying that trauma is not a competition or something like that. That it's not the right dilemma you are having or something. I remember he was very clear about it. But also I remember that the personal, making the film very personal, was always there, this question that, isn't it putting myself up front beside people who have in fact lived much bigger or stronger traumas? I think it was always also there. For me, it was very much seeing how this, so I think for me, I was against it until the point we didn't try it and we didn't start to work with it. And I was very much reassured when we started the work and it just felt right. Or I don't know, some things you can really only decide when you try and when you see it. But I don't know, do you have, Hanka, or you did more memories about
I
this?
remember that Judit was very shy to step in front of the camera. And I remember also, because this is like a very usual process with the stories told by the director that they took part in. With your new project, you will go the same journey, you know. So usually the directors in the beginning don't want to be in front of the camera, but then in a way, I feel here with Judit, in the moment when you met the friends, you couldn't step behind the camera. You just couldn't. You were one of them and you have to step in. And so I feel in this case that the film like organically sucked you in, that you couldn't say no. And then it was only the work to connect these things, and because what was working fantastically, because all the archive material is shot by your father, so you are very often in the center of his so already in the archives you are a character, so not being in the present time, it was almost impossible. And it was beautiful connection through you, because you, from the pictures your father did, you see the love, you see the connection. And again, it's a very strong connection with the parents and their guilt. And again, this is a question to the viewer, like, am I cautious enough? Am I seeing what's happening? Am I aware of the dangers that my child could be in? So I think, I think sometimes, you know, it's important to listen what the film calls for, and just follow this cinema magic. I call this cinema magic, and feel deep humbleness in front of it.
How was it for you, Judit? Please.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was a very hard decision to make, not only to step in front of the camera, but to really open up, because I felt that in this sense, if it's a personal film, that it has to be very honest, and I have to. I have to grab my parents, I have to grab my daughter, my whole life will be there, and it's not an easy decision to make. And also, when I think we have already decided to put me more into the film, we were still not sure about the voiceover, as it's a format that it doesn't always work, at least for me as a viewer. I'm not an actress, so I don't speak in a beautiful way. But at the end, we also felt that it's just it's needed, because without it, it's just actually it's not clear, the whole story. There are some actual informations that are needed from me as the guidance of the story, and also about my inner journey, and in that work, writing the voiceover, as Sarah mentioned, Eva Zabrzezinski was like a huge help, because I had some ideas, and then she could write it into words that we could try it out on the cat, and then if it worked, then it stayed. If it didn't work, then it didn't work. So it's like it was a very intense and a very interesting part of the process, this last editing part.
Okay, just we have a nice comment from an anonymous viewer. Dear Judit, you have started a new era where blaming victims will hopefully become impossible. Thank you. So I had to read this. And then a question. After the premiere of the film, was there any reaction from Sipos, or did he show any interest to watch the film?
No, I have no news from him since 2 years ago. I mean, I did not connect him after the film was finished. I think before the last part of the editing process, I still wrote him. I even sent him some material of the film, just part of some interviews that maybe would change his mind. But I had no answer. I did not receive any answers from him. So since we finished the film, I did not connect him, and he didn't write me either.
But did you send him the film, the finished film?
No, I did not.
Production?
No. I mean, I think it's available on HBO. So if he's interested, he can watch it. It doesn't need any other than that. Okay,
but when you were in the final editing or at the premiere, I suppose you invited the participants of the group also. What was their reaction?
Yes, before our premiere at CPH, which was actually put online as well, we had an occasion where we showed the film to the group, not to all participants of the film, but to the ones that were included in the Psycho group. We call it Psycho group, which is not very nice. And there we could feel that they really liked the film. And we showed it separately to my parents and showed it separately to Mishka and the other guy in the dark. And I think they all liked the film in different ways, of course. But from the group, it's changing the feelings towards the film since it's out there, which is, I mean, I don't have any experience with that. It might be natural. I'm not sure about that.
Okay. For Sára and Hanka, what is your experience with the online festival world? How was it for you to premiere a film online? What reactions you had? What was you missing from this online world? So please share your experience about this.
Well, for me, the CPH was the first festival, I think, that went online. So we were not yet in this accepting stage of, okay, our life will be online for a while. And for me, it was horrible. Or I would say it was no premiere experience, as it wouldn't have happened. It was very, I don't know, it's the fact that it premiered at CPH, it's great, and it feels great, so I was very happy about that. The fact that many people, more and more people see it and we have reactions, it's also great, but somehow this experience of really sitting in a room together with an audience and feeling the audience and having questions face to face, it's really not something that you can move to the online space. So I think it was great to have. We decided to do a Hungarian premiere before the premiere on HBO outdoors. It was a small, outdoor cinema. It was in September, so we could still do it. And I'm really happy, because we were hesitating there as well. Should we do it? Should we not? But I'm happy that we did it, because there somehow this thing happened that, okay, now you can go film. You're ready. Your life can start. But I'm really hoping, especially for Judit, that soon, when it will start again the festival life, that she will have this experience of traveling with the film and having these Q&As where you're together with the audience and you can discuss.
But as far as I know, at CPH, not at CPH, at Sarajevo, you had a Cinelink talk about the film, right? So maybe this helped a bit to have some reactions. But yeah, and you also had some nice reviews, international reviews of the film, right? So, but it's true that the live connection with the industry and also with the audience, and especially with the audience, this is something missing. Hanka, I suppose you have a huge experience in this for the last few months.
Unfortunately, I think this is the unimaginably hard year for releasing a movie, because you do a film for 4 or 5 years and then you are not able to see and experience together with the audience how they accept the film. Okay, luckily we have reviews, so a little bit you feel this feeling. But Okay, HBO is also an online platform, and I don't know if this information came to Judit and Sára, but it was by far the most successful Hungarian release of documentary, and you beat it many other premieres of big American series and movies. You were very on the top, and so everybody was surprised because suddenly there is some film and they realize it's a documentary and how a documentary can make such great result. So we realized that people really, I felt like there is something in Hungary, that it is much hotter topic in Hungary that I was thinking.
And don't you feel, Hanka, that with this online world, documentaries are becoming even more important because people are watching films all the time at home, and with the streaming possibilities, they can allocate their time also to see what is happening in the real world. But I don't know what your experience is. But
I think it is important, but in the same time, I'm thinking that the role of marketing and telling the audience where you can find the film and why you should watch the film is even bigger than before. So it's really important, the right communication. So with the release of the film, usually the work doesn't end, and to push the film you need to keep communication and build your community and work with it further. And of course all these stuff require time, skills, and as I say, it is important in normal time, but maybe even more important now. And it's difficult because you are not getting the energy back, because when you stand at the end in front of the audience and listen their reaction, this is some kind of satisfaction that all the team gets, and it's some kind of closure. And I think that everybody who released the films this year are somehow without this closure.
Yes. We have a new question to Judit. You mentioned the group's reaction changed since the premiere. In what way?
There is, I think I didn't mention it here yet, but in some interviews that there, after this article was published in 2014, there was a Facebook group made, a private group for the ex-campers. So we started to communicate with each other there after these 30 years. And it was a very hot topic for a while there. We had very important dialogues, but then it became silent. And during these years of my work on the film, I sometimes just wrote them something that I'm making this film, and I'm inviting anyone that feels the need to be a participant in the film. But actually nobody came from there. So everybody who's in the film, I had to reach out personally, and actually to most of them, I kind of had to beg them to be in the film. And now, since the film is out, this group became lively again. So disputes are very intense again. And I think from the community of the people who were involved in this summer camp, it's much more different than for outsiders. And there are many people who feel attacked in a way, that their childhood is put in a misleading way, because they don't have memories from these summer camps as I do, and they feel that their story is, taken in a bad way now. It's a mistake, because it's not the truth what I'm telling in the film, which is, of course, I think it's understandable that how they feel about this, because there could be 200 films about the same story, and it would be, I guess, different for all. And since people who are involved in the film started to feel that there are others who are not satisfied with this film, I think they also started to change their minds about it, and to see the film in another way, that maybe they are right, and maybe this film is telling the wrong story. And there are many people who are involved in the film, in this group, that are actually really loved the camp Epipo, and they love it until today. And they are not sure if their role in the film is the right role, if it's clear for others that actually they loved this summer camp, and because they get the feedbacks from others that it's not clear, and also that we've been shooting this group work for 5 long days during a long period, more than a year. So we have long hours of what was happening there, and only a few minutes maybe included in the film. So I also understand this this question, if the role of the group is clear, if you can see from this group real personalities, or these are just illustrations of my story. They are kind of illustrations of what I wanted to tell, which is it's I think it's also a right question to ask, and I think we were struggling with this also quite a lot during the edit. But to have a film with lots of characters, it's very hard to build many characters, and for a viewer to understand each and every story. Yeah,
it's almost impossible, because every single person lived their story, and every single person has its own memories that are slightly different, and different emotional response, so you basically did an extract, I feel, that works for audience that was not part of Epipo in a very good way. To me, it gives understanding of how fantastic and how horrifying it was.
Okay, one more question. Why we can talk about traumas through cinema more openly than ever? The person who questioned this also mentioning Leaving Neverland. I think that everybody who watched this film and watched Leaving Neverland feels the parallel between the two films. Maybe Hanka, you can answer to this question.
Well, there are parallels, yes and no, because in Leaving Neverland you have a very famous person, so many viewers there are going just because it's Michael Jackson. And I think for me this film, and it's questionable. It's very difficult, also legally, both films. So I wouldn't say that nowadays it's easy to talk about trauma through film. I think talking about trauma through film is always very difficult, and you have many things and many ethical issues that you have to take care, and you have to take care of the balance, and you have to take care of legal questions. In the same time, I think I would not say it's easy making a film about trauma, but I would say it's important because you can add emotions, you can communicate it in the right way, and you can shed a light in the darkness through film.
If we talk about tension in the film, let's talk also a little bit about music. Because I think that it's a big part, or music helps a lot to build the tension. How you worked with it?
First we only included the songs from the summer camp, which was also an interesting task to do, to record the songs, because we were not sure how to do it. Because first we asked a group of children to sing it in a studio, some of the songs, but then it really felt artificial and it didn't really work in the film. So actually, even twice, our sound designer, sound recorder went to one of the summer camps that are existing now, and they are singing the same songs as we did back then. So we recorded it there in a real summer camp with the same vibe, and I think that worked nicely in the film. But during our second week at Dock Incubator, I mean the second workshop, where we already had not that rough cuts, but a bit, it more looked like a film. And there we could already feel that, music is still missing. The songs wouldn't be enough. And also we got this feedback from some of the tutors. So that was the time when we contacted Asher, the music composer, Asher Goldschmidt, who lives in half in Israel, half in Budapest. And also he worked with Joel Alexis, who was our editing tutor. So it felt the right person. And I talked with him, and then it turned out that he also went to this summer camp. He was there twice, and he could see himself on the archive material. I could not really recognize him, but he could see that that's me, that little dot there. So it felt amazing that he's really the right person to be working with the film. So first, we just watched the rough cut together, and then he started showing us some types of music, what would work, what kind of music we could imagine on this film. And then when we started to feel what works for me and what works for him as well, then he started to compose the music for the film, and then it went parallelly with the editing that we worked with the music.
After the workshop, when did you finish the film? When was the picture lock?
Sarah, help.
I think it was very soon after. So the doc incubator finishes with a public pitch during Nordisk Panorama. And I have the feeling it's in September each year. And I think we had the picture lock next month. So we somehow, I remember that when planning, we deliberately wanted to leave some weeks after the final workshop, because if we get more feedback or anything, it's less interesting to participate if we have a finished film. So this is how we planned it originally. And I think, yes, maybe we had 3 weeks of editing afterwards.
Maybe we did it beginning of November, but I remember we watched it after Doc Incubator. We decided for some minor changes, and then we said, okay, let's leave it for 3 weeks to watch it once again with fresh eyes, and this was it. Yeah. So we had this luxury that you could watch it with fresh eyes, which not always happens.
Okay.
Yeah, but it would be, but I guess it's true for all films, but it would have been interesting to go back to it even a few months later with a real fresh eye and how we would have changed the film,
You haven't watched it since?
I did watch it. Yeah, when we had the premiere in Budapest, I watched it with the audience.
I usually love to watch the films then on the festivals, and now I'm also a little bit cut off, because it's also very interesting to watch how the audience in different countries reacts differently, and how the energy of the screenings are different in different countries. So I really miss this.
Yes, I think Hanna Polák could give or she already gave masterclasses about editing a film, but she's famous about editing again and editing again and editing again. And of course, it is very hard to say, okay, this is the film and I don't change it anymore. But at some point, because of the budget limitations and everything, and the time limitations of the whole team, at some point you have to say stop.
I didn't know that Hanya is that famous about this. We are just at this stage with her next film.
Okay. So as we have 10 minutes left, I would like to ask all of you to if you have any advice to give to the audience on how to approach a film, how to work with a film. Judit, what you learned from the whole process of making this film, which ended up being so personal. Anything that comes into your mind?
Well, if you ask me today, I would not do a personal film. But because we are just right after our premiere at HBO, so it's a bit still new, and it feels awkward to be out there. But I guess with time it will it will go to the right place. But I'm not sure. I mean, I think time is the most important thing for us. It was at least that we started our first discussions in end of 2015. And premiering in 2020, and I mean, I think we needed this time really to well, I wouldn't say to make a good film, because I don't know if it's good, but to make this film, we needed this time to also to reach out to people, to convince them to be part of the film. That took, years, and not to stick with the idea to only have interviews with some of the people and that's it, because the main story can be told within just a few interviews. So I'm happy that all of the team had the energy for all these years to keep on going with their ideas. So yeah. Okay. And actually, what we were discussing at the beginning, I feel, with all the team, not only with the producers and with the dramaturge and with the editor, but with everyone that was included in the film, working in the film, to be also the DOP. The sound designer, everyone to be really involved in the story, to not only to come to a shooting and do it and then go home, but I always needed them to be really, to be a small crew, but be part of the story, to have discussions about the topic, what they feel would be important to tell, and to work closely together. That helped me a lot.
For just a comment from the audience, thank you for acknowledging the dilemmas. It's very honest of you. Okay, to Sára, what would you advise to filmmakers? I hope a lot of people from the audience are filmmakers. How to approach this kind of projects? Any good advice?
One specific advice is connected to what Hanka said about marketing. That is true. It's also important to think about it, but I think it's as important to budget it and to not to find yourself in a situation when you have, there's many things to do, that there's a film which is really there. It can stimulate really important discussions. It's a topic that, it can accelerate, but you need professionals to work with on marketing. It's not necessarily something a producer has to know how to do it, and you have to budget it. And I think it's not obvious at all, because already to finance a production budget of a documentary where you work for 5 years, it's not obvious at all. But still, I think what I learned in the past few years is that at least I will do my best to fight for saving some budget specifically for the marketing of a film.
But is it easy to put the marketing expenses in a budget? I mean, especially when you have national financing?
I think it's impossible, but I think this is a fight to make with the association. And no, I think this is something that has to change.
And you have to also use so-called creative budgeting.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Of course. So please, Hanka, give to the audience your advice regarding this project and for the future, how filmmakers should work, in what should we be better to arrive to strong and important films.
I think what we can take out from this film is that if you want to do such film that matters, you need to first take a lot of courage. And this is what Judit did and the team. Courage and be sincere, what also happened in the film. You never can make a film that everybody will love. And I believe that personal approach and personal telling the story will always work the best because it's connected with emotions. And in this film with, as I said, sincere emotions and very subtle. So I basically hope that Judith will change her mind. And when the next big topic start attacking her, that she will basically take this courage that she has in her and will basically do again such a great job as she did here.
Okay, thank you very much for being with us. I hope that it was helpful and interesting for our audience. And thank you, Hanka, for participating, and Sára and Judit.
Thank you.
Just a little advertisement that we will have our second masterclass tomorrow at 8 p.m. Again through Verzio's webpage. It will be about documentary poetry, which will be a masterclass by Tuestin Müller. So we are looking forward to meet you again tomorrow. And thank you, Judit, Sára, and Hanka for sharing all your thoughts and insider remarks and how to make a film possible to happen and to bring it to the world. So thank you very much. And we continue tomorrow with our second masterclass.
Thank
you very much.
Have a great evening. Bye.
You too.